Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's session. In this video, I am going to walk you through a practical step-by-step guide for asking the best therapy and counseling questions in a way that builds trust and promotes success for you and for your clients. Into details and provide you with the different examples of questions. Let us cover two types of questions. One of them is open-ended, the other one is closed. Open-ended questions in counseling or therapy involves questions that cannot be answered with a simple yes or no response. This type of question really is asking the client to pause, think, and reflect before they answer. Open-ended questions in therapy or counseling begin the exchange really between you and the client. And what it does is it shifts the control of the conversation from you to the client. If you are the only one asking, if it feels like you're the only one in control of the conversation, it really means you are asking closed questions. Open-ended questions to ask clients typically begin with who, why, how, what, where, and when. And we will go into details in regards to all of this. In addition, we have included a link at the bottom of this video. When you click on the link, it takes you to the detailed guide that provides you with literally everything that you need to know. And it also provides you with a link where you can download all of these questions that you can ask during the first session with the client, during the second session, during the third sessions, and many more. It also includes the list of questions you can ask if you're having a phone conversation with the client, or if you're having a telehealth conversation, or if it's in person. Let's get back into today's conversation and let's talk about closed questions. Now, closed questions are questions that lead to a yes or no answer, or they are questions that only have one correct answer. Closed questions can be used to clarify certain aspects of a conversation, but if you are asking a lot of these types of closed questions, the client can quickly feel like they are being interrogated rather than leading to a constructive conversation. It's really up to you to determine and recognize the best questions, as well as when to use open and closed questions. We will provide you with all of these examples. However, something to keep in mind is this: you are more likely to get a constructive conversation going if you are asking open-ended questions in therapy or counseling. Even if you have a closed question in mind, you can rearrange it into a more open-ended question. Let us take a look at this table that provides some examples of open and closed questions that you can use in therapy or a counseling session. And how you rearrange them to make the questions more engaging is also reflected here. Let's take the first one. It's a closed question. You ask the client, are you feeling better today? They could say yes, no, maybe. But when you ask the client, what's on your mind? This makes them pause, think, formulate their response, and then respond. Here's another example. Do you have any siblings? Yes, no. Could be the response. It's a yes or no response. Rather than asking this yes or no kind of question, You can instead say, what can you tell me about your family and your siblings? That will get the client providing a more detailed response, more so than yes or no. Let me introduce you to Maria. Maria is a fictional character. She is a 32-year-old professional. She just started therapy due to ongoing anxiety. During her third session, Maria still hadn't fully opened up about her stress triggers. But check this out. The therapist didn't ask, why are you so anxious? Which could feel invasive. Instead, the therapist used open ended, safe questions. Instead of pressing Maria, her therapist gently used open-ended questions like, what does a stressful day at work feel like for you? And also, when do you notice yourself reacting the most? These simple yet strategic counseling questions helped Maria feel heard without pressure. She was able to think out loud and identify patterns on her own. This led Maria to be more engaging, and it helped her to open up, leading her to reveal specific moments where anxiety was spiking up in her life, such as during team meetings or when she was checking emails late at night. With this insight, Maria's therapist was able to develop, or rather, let me say, co develop a targeted coping plan and tracked Maria's progress. Now, on our detailed guide, we have over 75 questions. And we realized that not every question is going to be applicable to you. And so what we did was we broke up the questions into segments or into groups. For example, if you are meeting with a client for the first time and it is a phone conversation, we've included questions that you can ask the client. We've also included questions if it is an in person or a telehealth session. If it's the first session, the second session, or the third session, we've included examples of questions that you can ask. Well, a session doesn't always, a therapy program doesn't always end after the third session. And so we've also included general questions that you can ask during the fourth session, the fifth session, or more. Some of you have clients that are group. And so we've included groups types of questions. Some of you have clients that are a family. And so we have included family types of questions. Some of you are CBT practitioners, so we've also included such types of questions. Some of you also talk about having patients or clients that are in a depressive state, so we've included questions for you. And some of you also talk about you often run into a resistant client, and so we've also included questions for you. So let's jump right into the first examples, which have to do with questions you can ask on the phone. So what I am currently sharing on my screen is the detailed guide for which we've included the link at the bottom of this video. So in this section, it contains the examples of questions that you can ask over the phone. And we also included what are the key objectives that these questions help convey. And you can see here, it is really to help build connection, to help build trust and rapport. For example, you might ask a client, what made you decide to reach out today? Do you feel safe at home and in your current environment? Or do you have a preference for the type of uh, therapy approach that you were using with the client? Would they prefer in person, telehealth, or phone calls? Do you have any questions for me? It's a very important one, right? So we've included all of those different questions. Then remember, I mentioned the first therapy session questions to ask. Well, this section on the guide provides a detailed list of questions you can ask as part of those first therapy sessions that you are having with clients. One of those key questions, again, that you saw with the phone conversation questions is, what are you really expecting from therapy or counseling? And another one is, have you been in therapy or counseling before? And what was the experience like? This is very important because if they have had a negative counseling or therapy experience, then that means they might be more resistant to some of the approach that you are using. And so you want to take that into consideration to ensure that you take the time to build trust and rapport with the client. Okay. How is your relationship with your family? Is another example of questions. Now, let us jump to group therapy questions. And we also have questions for the second session, the third session, and also other types of sessions that I mentioned earlier. For now, though, let us go over group therapy questions. And whenever we say therapy, it is also applicable to counselors or mental health specialists. Uh, if we specifically say therapy, we just don't mean only therapists can ask that questions and counselors cannot. No, it just gets redundant whenever we say therapy slash counselor slash mental health specialist. Okay. All right. Now for group types of questions, there are some key differences between group questions versus individual types of questions. And here's one of them. You can ask, what do you all like best about group therapy session? Okay, that's very, very important. And then another one is discuss goals you want to achieve in group therapy. Okay. And then let us go over to family therapy questions you can ask clients. Here's one of them. Why are you seeking family therapy? What changes do you want to see within your family? What do you expect from the family therapy? We have a few more counseling, therapy, mental health types of questions you can ask. Let us quickly go over the two sections that talk about questions to ask during the second counseling sessions, as well as questions to ask for the third one. So for the second one, you can ask the client, how have things been for you since our last session? Right? Another very a good one is, did anything we talked about since the last time you spoke with the client, um, did anything stick with the client? Did anything resonate with the client? We also broke these questions down into different segments. This segment focus on, for example, checking in and continuity. There are questions here that cover clarifying goals and directions. There are questions here that help you explore connecting with the clients as well as relationship building. And here's an example. How are you feeling about being in therapy so far? Right? These questions really help you gauge good insights into how the client is feeling about therapy or counseling. There are also questions broken under and to provide responses that provide you with insight and also with reflection on the part of the client. And here is an example. What's one thing that feels different, even slightly, this week? There are also questions that come under tools, coping, or support. For example, is there a coping skill you've used in the past that has been helpful? Okay. And then here are questions you can ask during the third session. For this one, we broke this down under segment one, which is helping the client reflect on the journey so far, right? So it's been the third session now, which means you've checked off two sessions of the list. So this will be a good time for reflecting. Looking back over our first two sessions, what has stood out to you the most? Is one good question you can ask. Here's another one. Is there anything that surprised you about this process so far? And then under this segment, we've included questions that allow you, the therapist, the counselor, mental health practitioner, or clinician, to dig deeper into specific patterns. And then here, we grouped questions that will help you help the client to refine goals and directions as needed. For example, you can ask the client, are we still on track with the goals you had in mind, or are they shifting? This will provide you with great insight into how things are going, not from your perspective, but from the client's perspective. And at the end of the day, that is really all that matters, the client's perspective. It is how the client is feeling that really matters, that helps you determine how to shift or how to pivot the care that you provide into the client. We also grouped questions under evaluating strategies and skills. So, for example, would you be interested in trying something different? Could be a question that you ask the client during the third therapy or counseling session. Okay. Now let's scroll down to, we already covered a group therapy questions, but if you notice, we have a lot of questions here that you can ask the client, whether it's the first counseling session or the second counseling session or the third counseling session, as well as future sessions. We have all of these questions here for you. Let us keep on going. So we can just very quickly list out questions. We also have CBT, counseling and therapy questions, as well as examples of answers and how to react to those answers. And then let's keep on going. We have questions for clients that are suffering from depressions. Every one of you will at some point run into a client who is resistant. Maybe you already have run into clients that are resistant. Resistance often shows up when a client feels overwhelmed, unsafe, or pushed too quickly. In those moments of resistance, it is better for you to step back from traditional questions and instead use statements that invite collaboration. And also, you want to gently explore the client's readiness or factors driving that level of resistance. All right, so here are questions and statements to use to engage with a client who is resisting. And when I say resisting, I don't really mean physically. As I mentioned earlier, resistance might come up in different ways. Sometimes it is passive, sometimes it is active behavior as well as mannerism, more so than physical. But here are some encouraging statements that you can ask that are, as noted on this page, they are more effective than just asking them why something is happening. Now, let us look at the second bullet point where you tell the client, we don't have to go there right now. I am here whenever you are ready. That is a collaborative partnership level of presenting a statement. Here was another one. You've been through a lot. I respect how you are handling this. Okay. Now let us take a look at some of the non-threatening, motivational, these are more interview style prompts. What would be different for you if this issue felt lighter or more manageable? Or what tells you this might be the right time for support? And then here, very, very important, we have seen practitioners and clinicians making this mistake time and time again, um, especially those that are new to the practice. You really want to avoid asking a client why you react in this way. Why haven't you made progress yet? Don't you think it's time to let go? Now, some of you looking at these questions and think, I would never ask a client such types of questions. And that's good. But the situation is you normally see practitioners after meeting with a client a few times and they don't really see any progress, they get frustrated and sometimes it just comes out. As professionals, that should never be the case, but we have seen that happen and we have seen professionals asking these types of questions that should never be asked of a client, whether the client is resisting or not. Okay. We also included what is SFBT, solution focused brief therapy types of questions. We also included a definition of what that type of therapy is all about. And then we also included additional information for all you practitioners to keep in mind. And lastly, one thing that I want to go over very quickly, so let me scroll up on this page, is when you click on the link at the bottom of this video and you land on the same page that I have on my screen, you will notice that we have the this section here where you can actually download all of these 75 plus questions. Okay. And the link is right here. You click on this link, it takes you to another page that allows you to be able to download this information. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback for us, don't hesitate to share that with us. If there are any particular topic that you would like us to create a video or an article about, do go ahead and list that on the comment section under this video. Things like good questions or statements to help manage and engage with a resisting client, those questions came from people like yourself. Other contents that we put together, including that one where we provided questions and statements for engaging with a client that is going through depression, those came from people like you asking us to provide content and videos to cover that. So if there is anything at all that you would like to see more of, just let us know. We are here for you. Also, don't forget to check out other videos that we have created to help increase your education, your knowledge, and also your success.